Okay, for the next practice and big practice, I'm gonna practicing about creating procedure, and the first time I'm gonna telling about the theory of creating a procedure. Okay, we're going to, so we're going in the overview next.
So the objective is, after completing this lesson, you should be able to do the following, like distinguish any most PLSQL blocks from non-PLSQL blocks or subprogram, describe subprograms, list the benefits of using subprograms, list the different environments from which subprograms can be invoked, describe PLSQL block and subprogram, describe the use of procedure, and many more. Yes, there is a differentiated informal, list the future, create procedure with parameter, invoke procedure, remove a procedure. This is the structure. PLSQL program construct, yes. And the tool construct, there are any anonymous blocks, application procedure or function, application package, application triggers, and object types. And is the form. The database server construct, there are anonymous blocks, stored procedures or functions, stored packages, database triggers, and the last is object types. Next, in overviews of subprograms. A subprogram is a named pure SQL block that can accept parameters and be invoked from a current environment. It is of two types: a procedure that performs an action, a function that computes a value, is based on standard pure SQL block structure, provides modulatory reusability, extensibility, and maintainability, provides easy maintenance, improve data security and integrity, improve performance, and improve code clarity. Next, structure of for any anonymous PLSQL blocks. Yes, there is the syntax, and the first is declare. It's an optional syntax. Declare the SQL object to be used within this block. And the second is begin. Mandatory. Define the executable statements. Exception. There's an optional tool. Define the action that takes place if an error or exception arises. Yes, when you have a program and there's many error, the exception can handle it. So you must be place the exception on your program, on your code. And the last is end. Is mandatory too. Is the end of the syntax. Next. Yes, there is the block structure for PLSQL subprograms. The header, IS, subprogram specification, and the subprogram, the subbody is the content section, begin, executable section, and exception section. And the last is end. And there is the structure about PLSQL subprogram. Yes, the first the first block is code repeated more than once in a PLSQL program, and then the code, the process next to subprogram T is contains the repeated code, and the next is PLSQL program invoking the subprogram at multiple locations. And the benefit of subprogram is easy maintenance, improved data security and integrity, improved performance, improved code clarity. And this is how you develop a query using Oracle. Developing subprogram by using ISQL as request. And there is the first syntax is create a request for the log execution is read on Notepad, and the second dialog log is written on Oracle Workspace. Yes, in the run the O1 at depths.xl and the next many more. You can save the script, clear screen, and execute. invoking stored procedure and function. And there's the structure. When you pull the query and this code, the first time is code, and you next to log execution procedure, and the second is the type of the developer, Oracle Forms developer, Oracle Discovered, and Oracle Portal. The third is another username too, and the next. What is a procedure? A procedure is a type of subprogram that performs an action. A procedure can be stored in a database as a scheme object for repeated execution. Syntax for creating procedure. And this is the syntax. The query. Yes. You can you can retype on your workspace in the console or Oracle workspace. The first is create or replace procedure name. The replace option indicates that if the procedure exists, it will be dropped and replaced with a new version created by the statement. Pure SQL block starts with either begin or the declaration of local variables and ends with either. Developing procedure, and the first step is your file.sql you read in the editor like console or Oracle workspace, and the second is execute, load and execute, and the third is and then the code is compiled, the source code, P code, and the last is execute. Formal versus actual parameter. Formal parameter is a variable declared in the parameter list of a subprogram specification, and the syntax is the first is create procedure raise underscore sal, and the next is the parameter p underscore id, and the type is number, p underscore amount, the type is number 2, and the actual parameter variables or expression reference into parameter in the parameter oh, parameter in the parameters of a subprogram call. The example is just raise underscore cell and the parameter. Yes, you can see the difference. The formal parameter, there is a create procedure, and the parameter is using the type like number, integer, double, and the actual parameters we don't use it, just only the variables like v underscore id the and the value to 2000. Yes. Procedural parameter models. Yes, there is the procedure. You can see the structure in parameter, out parameter, in out parameter. Creating procedure with parameters in, and this is the difference between in out and in out. In is default mode, and the out is must be specified. In out must be specified. When the value in value is passed into subprogram, when then out must be returned to calling environment. In out passed into subprogram, return to calling environment, and you can see that another difference on this table. And the example of in parameters. Yes, there is the script, the query, and it written on console maybe. Create or replace procedure, raise, salary, as you can see in the next code. The out parameter, the example is yes, collect environment, and the query like p underscore id is have a value in 171, p name the value is net, p salary 700, 7,400, and p underscore com is 0.50. This is the source code. The source code of the query is emp_query.scl. You can see the difference with the previous one, like in parameters. Viewing out parameters. Load and run the emp_query.scl that you wrote script file to create the query_emp procedure. Declare host variables, execute the query_emp procedure, and print the value of the global d_name variable. And you can retype this source code. And the last is inout parameters. This is the combine between in and out and become inout parameters. Yes, you can see the structure and the symbol of the source code, the query. Filling in out parameters. Before this section, you see about viewing out parameter, and now we can we can see the filling in out parameters, and you can type this following code. And method for passing parameters. In the position 0, list actual parameters in the same order as formal parameters. Then, list actual parameters in arbitrary order by associating it with its corresponding formal parameters. And the last is combination is list some of the actual parameters as positional and some as name. And this is the example about default option for parameters. You can try this source code into your Oracle workspace or maybe in the console. And the examples of passing parameters. Yes. The source code again. Declare it subprogram. Yes. This is the example of the source code. You can retype this source code. Invoking a procedure from an anonymous PL/SQL block. And there is the second example of invoking a procedure. Yes, there is a raise_salary, and they have a parameter emp_rec.employee_id. Handle exception. When you got many errors on the source code, you have to place the exception in there. And this is the structurable exception. Calling procedure, called procedure, exception raised, exception handled, control returns to calling procedure. This is the exception works. And yes, source code again. Create procedure. Unhandled exception. This is the exception that can be unhandled. The opposite of handled exception. Just like before, calling procedure, call procedure, exception rate, and there is no exception unhandled. But there is a control return to exception section of calling procedure. This is the source code. Removing procedure. You can create the procedure and also delete the procedure by this section. Drop a procedure stored in the database, and the syntax is drop procedure and the procedure name. For example, drop procedure and the procedure name is raise_salary. Yes, just type like that. And after you hear about my explanation about this creating procedure, you should have learned that a procedure is a subprogram that performs an action. You create procedure by using the create procedure command. You can compile and save a procedure in the database. Parameters are used to pass data from the calling environment to the procedure. There are three parameters modes: in, out, and in-out. Local subprograms are programs that are defined within the declaration section of another program. Procedures can be invoked from any tool or language that support BLSTL. You should be aware of the effect of handled and unhandled exceptions on transaction and calling procedures. You can remove procedures from the database by using the drop procedure command. Procedures can serve as building blocks for an application. And the overview of the next practice is this practice covers the following topics: creating stored procedure to insert new rows into a table using the supplied parameters values of the data in the table for rows matching with the supplied parameter values, delete rows from a table that match the supplied parameters values, query a table and retrieve database on supplied parameter values, and handling exception in procedure, compiling and invoking procedure. And now, in the next section, you will be see the practice.
Okay, for the practice, I'm gonna speak in Indonesia, so don't be shocked. And in soal praktikum, buat prosedur add job untuk menambahkan baris data baru ke dalam tabel jobs. Prosedur memiliki dua parameter yang menampung baris job dan nama job. Kemudian buat prosedur APD job untuk memodifikasi data pada table job. Prosedur memiliki dua parameter core job dan nama job yang baru. Buat exception handling untuk menemani core job yang tidak ada pada table jobs. Berikan pesan bahwa core job tidak ada dalam table jobs. Jalankan prosedur untuk mengganti core job ID DBA diganti dengan tipe data administrator. Cobalah dengan core job yang tidak ada di table jobs. Misal core job sampaikan ID harus berubah dan perhatikan apakah exception handling telah berjalan dengan benar. Dan kita akan membuat dua praktikum ke dalam konsol atau command prompt dalam Windows. Ayo kita bicara. Oke, kita akan membuat menyelesaikan praktikumnya. Pertama kita memasukkan login dalam command prompt SQL+, kemudian kita tuliskan sini yang pertama yaitu create or replace procedure ya, job, dan ini parameternya in job, in job kode job, kemudian modulus type, ini parameter kedua yaitu n for name, in jobs nama membuat job, mod type, dan enter, kemudian is, enter lagi, began, insert into jobs, ini parameternya kode underscore job, parameter kedua yaitu nama underscore job, values untuk pilihannya yaitu underscore job dan underscore name, commit, and kemudian kita compile dengan menggunakan slash dan enter. Dan untuk kalimat kedua itu exception handling. Set server output on kemudian create or replace procedure, dan workshop, workshop, will start. Okay. Setelah itu end dan kita compile, dan hasilnya akan enter. Oke, dan percobaan telah berhasil. Sekian dari penjelasan praktikum 8. Kurangnya saya mohon maaf. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.